G'day guys and welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to be ranking NRL teams tonight and look, let's find out whether I like your team. I remember doing this quite a few years ago and I think YouTube now have removed the dislike button and there were a lot of dislikes. There were a lot of likes too, but a lot of opinions. So look, after these few years of doing vlogs, going for your team, getting to watch a lot more rugby league as well. I'm going to be speaking about each team and getting into a bit of an analysis as to what I think of these categories. I've just gone with a tier list that someone else has made. So look, I'm going to add in the share screen here. And guys, welcome back to the channel. But where is it? It is not that one. It is not that one. Oh, we could go with that one. We could go with this one tonight. Let's go with this one. So look, you got me in the corner there. And you look, we got your categories. We got don't like them. We don't have the Dolphins here. Obviously, they are coming into the NRL. I don't really care for them, to be honest. We've got, yeah, they go all right. We've got, I love to watch them play. And we've got follow them, would low-key follow them. Obviously, not many will be in this one. I am a Parramatta Eels fan. I know my videos have predominantly sometimes involved other NRL teams or excitement for any other Royal teams, but obviously Parramatta are the team that I follow. But let's get straight into it, and we're going to start with the Cronulla Sharks. Now, the Cronulla Sharks, over the years for me, I was kind of sick of them being in the finals. They're back in the finals this year, but they've got new players of Nico Hines, Finucane. I can't remember if they've got Mate Gavalu also went over to the Sharks. And look, I enjoyed watching them. I haven't been to too many games live for the Sharks for a while. It's between don't really care and yeah, they go all right. I won't say I love to watch them play. I will go, yeah, they go all right. I'm going to start this team in the middle. We'll come back to it if I disagree later. But the Cronulla Sharks are mine. I've enjoyed getting behind some. I don't think they make enough atmosphere. I think I'll be speaking about a lot of teams in relation to the atmosphere. And even those teams you might think might have a bad atmosphere, I'll let you know if they've got none. Let's go to the Gold Coast Titans. I've only been to, I think, maybe 3 or 4 Titans game. I went to the Titans and the Raiders. That was during like a restrictions period. I went to the Eels and the Titans, and the Titans and the Eels. That was at Cbus Super Stadium and Bankwest. Their fans got loud as they started to come back in for the most part, though. I think BKR does an amazing job with the drumming, and he gets an audience there for the most part alive. But I feel like definitely as a whole, Cbus and the Titans fans could be doing more. However, I do think the Titans front line and the way that their social media team works with Frontline is a really nice addition. So look, for me, I don't really care for them. It's not that I don't like them. I think they do an absolutely fantastic job with the social media side of things and the support, and especially how much they travel. They really do travel. But for me personally, as someone who vlogs for them, I've done maybe 2 vlogs for them, I think. One was against the Panthers at Magic Round. I'm just going to put them in don't care for them. And I know if you're watching BKR, you're going to hate me. Let's move into the Penrith Panthers, the Premiers, the back-to-back Premiers. The Penrith Panthers, I know I have supported them in a vlog. I can't remember what game it was. It might have been maybe the Panthers versus the Bulldogs a few years ago. I don't think I was going for the Bulldogs in that upset game. And Penrith, I haven't really been. As sick as I am, there's a lot of players to like. There's a lot of talent, and I'm going to put them in love to watch them play. I know, I shouldn't. It is the Battle of the West, and I shouldn't put them there, but I am going to put them in love to watch them play. From what they've done, especially from being on that losing streak back in 2019 to being this absolute juggernaut from that moment, and being the first team to beat Parramatta at Bankwest Stadium as well, let's not forget. So, look, I am going to put them in love to watch them play. And I think their fans get loud. I think their fans do get loud. I think we outnumbered them in loudness earlier in the year, but for the most part, Penrith have definitely become that juggernaut team. Next up here, we're going to go to the Brisbane Broncos. A lot of support for this club. Obviously, the Dolphins come into the NRL, which is going to make it really, really interesting. But the Brisbane Broncos, they've always been a team that have been kind of up there, well-supported team, well fan-based. They get a big crowd in Brisbane. I am going to put the Broncos, which is a team that I've hated for a long time, they go all right. This is a very strange one to do because I have hated the Broncos. I don't know what it is about them, but I start to enjoy watching them. I wouldn't say love to watch them play. I still think some of their plays are a little bit iffy. Great to see Adam Reynolds as part of the club. But for me, I'm going to put them in they go all right. And I think it's going to make a lot of Brisbane Broncos fans happy here because I know there are a lot of Broncos fans on the channel who hate my opinions. And look, the opinion of the Broncos is changing. So I'm going to put them above the Sharks in relation to whether it be the playing ability, the support in a whole. And I think it comes down to that atmosphere. You get a bit of an atmosphere at PointsBet, but when you go to Suncorp, which is a much bigger stadium, you get a fantastic atmosphere. Now, next up, we move into the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. And you know what? They are a rivalry team for the Parramatta Eels. They have had plenty of new players. They also have Reid Marnie and Viliami Kikau coming in next year. And I love to watch them play. I do. I'm going to put them lower than the Panthers just due to their playing ability and their success. But I do like to watch them play. Bringing Adokar into the side, Matt Burton into the team, and those two combinations. And then Jake Averillo having a nice season at fullback as well. There was a lot to like about the Bulldogs in probably the last 2 years. They've been building towards that better season, and we will see how they go in 2023. But I think they are a little bit better than all right. So I'm going to put them in love to watch them play. Now we move into the West Tigers. Now the West Tigers, I have done maybe 2 vlogs for the West Tigers. I've done a lot of vlogs probably against Parramatta and Tigers. Been to a lot of those games over the years. Bingy's 300 stands out. A few of the Easter Mondays. It's not that I don't like the Tigers, but I don't really care for them. And I don't really care for them a bit less than the Titans. And it's to the point where, you know what? Like it's tempted to put them in don't like them, but it's harsh. But recently the Tigers have been so poor and they haven't been in finals in so long, and it's just disappointing. So look, I'm going to put them in that bottom end of don't really care for them. If I put other teams in there, I'd probably put the Tigers at the bottom of it. You could probably maybe put no team in don't like them, which you can consider the Tigers as that kind of team, but we'll wait and see how I go. But the Tigers, they just need to show something, man, for the fans. It's just disappointing every year. The Parramatta Eels, and obviously follow them, would low-key or would like to follow them. I'm not sure if it's like or low-key, but the Parramatta Eels, my team, of course I'm going to put them in that position. I think we have had some huge crowd numbers throughout the years, especially since CommBank's been open. A lot of success going to the finals, and obviously the grand final appearance last year was all building towards that. Player retention over the last 4 years was good. It's not the best now with Isaiah Papali'i, Reid Marnie, Oregon Kafusi on their way out, as well as Murata Niokore. But for the most part, I am going to follow them because I do follow the club. Now we move into the Manly Seagulls. Now, this is a really interesting one. Love Desi Hasler at the Realm. Love watching Tom Trbojevic, and his season on 2021 was just absolutely unreal. They were very disappointing in 2022. However, Ruben Garrick was still really nice to watch. Josh Schuster, who was expected to be one of those rookie players, just didn't live to his full hype and ability. And Manly, I've never liked them, but I don't hate them. And as I mentioned, Ruben Garrick is one of my favourite players in the league. I've just got a soft spot for him. So for Tom Trbojevic, Ruben Garrick, Jake Trbojevic, these lots of characters. and what the team was able to do, especially in 2021. A new stadium rebuild. There's a few changes over there at Brookvale. A new coach, interesting one, Anthony Seibold, but I won't speak about that here. But look, I'm going to put them between the Titans and the Tigers. I'm going to put don't really care for them. To be honest, I'm tempted to put them in, yeah, they go all right. But for me, look, I'm gonna swap this out. I'm gonna put the Titans as the middle and Manly at the top of don't really care. Purely because there's only a few select players. It's not the whole team as a whole. It's not the history of Manly. But for me personally, they're one of that lower teams for me that I just really don't care for, to be honest, besides a select number of players. And if Ruben Garrick, for example, was to go over the Knights, it would probably make my Knights support higher than Manly. So, look, I'll put them at the high end of don't really care for them. Next up, we move into the Warriors, and obviously the Warriors have sacrificed a lot, including to keep the 2020 season. They've now got their home games back. They've been building a nice little squad, and they've got some good players coming through in 2023. They've got some nice signings. They've never really been close to finals since 2018, I believe it was, or 17. I think it was 18 when they had that fantastic season. But besides, if we're putting over the years and there's just not much about the Warriors, I'm going to put them in between the Titans and the Tigers as well. Like, I don't really care, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, I know they've done a lot for the league and I feel so critical doing this to them. But if I'm being personal, they do get some good home crowds, don't get me wrong. We've seen that on the telly. We've seen them rock up in their numbers for their return of Auckland. And we've seen the players put in some good performances, but I couldn't really care too much about some Warriors games, and I'd love to see them play some finals footy soon as well. Next up, we move into the Melbourne Storm. They have been a juggernaut, a successful team for the years they've been in the NRL. Craig Bellamy and his outburst moments have been absolutely unreal. Recently, obviously, last season was pretty disappointing for them, and they probably became kind of a one-dimensional team where teams got a read on them. I'm literally tossing it up between here and here. Do I like to watch them play enough, or do I put them in don't like them because I hate players like Nelson and some of the players that get away some of the grubbiest tactics in the game? However, there are players like Pappenhausen, Munster, Jerome Hughes, Harry Grant that I absolutely love watching. So, for that reason, I'm going to put them in the high end of love to watch them play. It's an interesting one because I don't like the Storm. So I want to put them down there. But they've got a great stadium. They've got great fans for the most part. I've had a few bad encounters, but for the most part, 80% of the fans were great. And they've got some really good players to watch on and off the field. So I'm going to put them in love to watch them play. Now we move into the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Now I go to quite a few Dragons games. I absolutely love Ben Hunt. I like Zach Lomax. But the Dragons just haven't been there for a few years now. They've been almost there. They were almost there last year again. Blew a few of those opportunities. And it's between don't really care and yeah, they go all right. And I am going to put them in don't really care. And I'm tossing between the start of Manly. Do I like Ben Hunt more than Ruben Garrick? And I think I do. I'm going to put them in don't really care. There's a few teams there that I'll get behind them. I'll give them a clap. I'll put the colours on. I'll get a vlog done for you guys. But for the most part, I don't really care. But as I said, players like Ben Hunt, whether it be Origin or Dragons, get behind him. Love those type of players. Always get behind Queenslander players as well. But for the most part, it's tempting because they do put in some good performances, especially at Colgrove when I've been there. I'm going to put them in the bottom end of, yeah, they go all right. I'm going to change my mind there. I'm going to change my mind, and we're going to keep the Broncos, the Sharks, and the Dragons in that order. So I do enjoy watching them play. I've seen some good performances, and I think they're really good with the fans as well, especially post-game at Cogra. They're just a good club, and the way they treat the fans has been great. So I am going to put them at the bottom end of, yeah, they go all right. Next up, we move into the North Queensland Cowboys. Now, I wasn't huge on the stadium. Maybe I was just absolutely nervous being a preliminary final and I need to go there again. Whether I go there this year or maybe next year, next year or the year after, that remains unseen. There's a big 2023 coming up. So, look, the Cowboys for mine, there's a few fans there in Sydney. There's not too many. But they've been really hit and miss, and they're a hit right now. But in recent years, they've had some okay games, but for the most part, they've been right down that bottom. So for the Cowboys, as much as I love to watch them play last year, if we're going off the time that I've kind of spent with the NRL and watching NRL, then I'm probably going to put them down in, yeah, they go all right. And I'm probably going to put them above the Sharks, but lower than the Broncos. Now, I think, as I said, this year, the fans turned up in their numbers. They've been working towards this. They were the surprise packet, obviously, of the year. No one expected that from them. So I think they've done better than all right in 2022. But in my opinion, I find it hard to get behind sometimes. And I think I've gotten behind them at Magic Round. And I think maybe a while ago at Cowboys versus Bulldogs in 2018 at ANZ from memory, but we're going to put them there. Next up is the Newcastle Knights. Now, the Newcastle Knights, I don't mind them. I think there's a few players on that team that are like, are they that good? And some of their backup choices have been like, are they that good? But they get a crowd. They get a real crowd. They get a loud crowd, a great atmosphere. And besides last year, because I don't think they did at all throughout the season, but the Knights turn up for the fans. They have always been a team that turn up for the fans on a Friday night. For example, a game against the Roosters a few years ago, and they put on a scoreline as massive underdogs. They've been good at home. So for the most part, and they've had a couple final appearances here and there, as well as a couple wooden spoons. So it's been interesting. But I feel like if Parramatta weren't there and probably living on the coast, that I would low-key follow them. I enjoy getting behind them. I've done a couple vlogs from McDonald Jones Stadium. I think it's a good stadium, a great atmosphere. I mentioned that. Some of the players just haven't been performing up to their standards, so it's upsetting for the fans, especially off last season. But if you go off 2 finals appearances after a couple wooden spoons and you go on signing someone like Kalen Ponga, who, look, he has been disappointing. However, he's had some great moments, especially in Origin as well. No, it's not in those Knights colours, but I remember a game against the Cowboys in 2021, I believe it was last year. I don't think it was 2020, where he had an absolutely phenomenal game. So you've seen that he can just have a blinder and what he's capable of. He's been in different positions as well. And then you've got Tyson Frizzell, who's a former Origin player who's come over to the Newcastle Knights. So there are still some good players. David Clemmer has obviously now left the Knights recently. But yeah, I think for me, I would probably get behind them. And let's move into the next team. And that's the South Sydney Rabbitohs. And the South Sydney Rabbitohs, obviously Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, Damien Cook, Alex Johnson, a lot of strike, a lot of attack, a lot of points. Always kind of that high-scoring team. Always the team to beat Parramatta, our absolute bogey team. Glad we didn't have to face them in the finals. Do I like to watch them play, or am I sick of it? I feel like I'm sick of it. And I feel like as good as it is that Souths are probably going to re-sign all these players for the fans, it would have been cool to see some of the players leave Souths and go to other clubs and see how they go, how successful they become. Maybe Cody Walker, for example. I'm going to put them in, yeah, they go all right. And I'm going to put them above the Broncos, not below. I'm going to put them above the Broncos. So I'm going to put them in the high end of, yeah, they go all right. It's not that I love to watch them play, and I probably wouldn't follow them. However, I think they do go all right. I think the fans get pretty loud. I think the fans are always there at the games. Even at Allianz, there seems to be a lot of Rabbitohs fans there during those 2 games at the new Allianz Stadium. So the Rabbitohs do go all right. Next up is the Canberra Raiders. Now, I've been to Canberra, I think 4 times. Done a couple of vlogs for Canberra, whether it be home or away games. Enjoy Jack Whiten. Have enjoyed Chance Nickel-Klokstad while he was there. Josh Hodgson's now at Parramatta. Spoken to Josh Hodgson a couple times. As you guys know, we had Josh Papali'i on the channel last year, and he's an absolute machine. He's a Queenslander as well, so maybe that has something to do with it. And Hudson Young, they weren't a threat in 2021. However, in 2022 and 2019, they were kind of that dark horse. Obviously, 2019, they went a lot further, these 2 teams, Roosters and the Raiders, going to the final. But I enjoy the Raiders, and I have a real soft spot for them over the years. So you know what? I'm actually going to put them in would low-key follow them. I think the Raiders have been a pretty good team in the most recent years. I think they've been pretty good. They've got some great players. They're doing a great job chasing players as well. I think more recently, John Bateman was really enjoyable to watch over at Canberra. And yeah, for me, if Parramatta once again weren't in the NRL, and the Knights probably would put Raiders above. I guess just because of closeness, I'd put the Knights. No, you know what? We're going to put the Raiders in second. So when these teams go up against each other, it's like, damn. But I am an Eels fan at heart. So look, it's Parramatta all the way. But if they were taken out of the club, there you go. And lastly, last but not least, you have the Sydney Roosters. Now, they have also been an absolute wrecking ball. They have been to plenty of grand finals. They have a lot of premierships. They've had a lot of big names over the years. They had Latrell Mitchell, who is now at the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Connor Watson was there. He's now returned there. You've got James Tedesco on Origin and premiership winning fullback. You've got Joseph Manu, who's just absolutely fantastic to watch. And I think I am going to put them in. Love to watch them play between the Panthers and the Bulldogs. As much as I love watching Josh Adokar and Matt Burton, absolutely love watching Joey Manu, James Tedesco, the history of the club, and just what even the new stadium, the season that people are expecting them to have. They say it every year, is 2023, one of those years for the Roosters. So there you go, guys. Do I like your NRL team? Well, this will tell you. Obviously, I didn't put any team there in don't like them, but I guess you can say these 4 are kind of those. And Manly, look, I feel really harsh. As I said, I like a lot of the players, and a lot of the players are great to meet, especially post-game at away games as well. They've been really, really good. The Titans, I mentioned the support from social media of Titans frontline, BKR Sport with the drum, but there's just not enough being done. The Warriors, just for me personally, never been over to New Zealand. Maybe being over New Zealand would change that, but not higher. And then the Tigers, just purely because of how unsuccessful they've been in recent years, just been disappointing. They used to hang around that 9th spot, but now they just hang around the bottom 4. And then there you go. Yeah, they go all right. We've got the Rabbitohs, Broncos, Cowboys, Sharks, and Dragons at the bottom of that one. And then we have the Dogs that love to watch them play based on their new combinations. Roosters, Tedesco, Manu, Radley, even. Penrith Panthers, you've got Nathan Cleary, Dylan Edwards, Brian To'o, and just as I said, how they had gone from that kind of losing streak into this just winning form, juggernaut, back-to-back, absolutely insane, great coaching. Speaking of great coaching, the Storm, Craig Bellamy, love to watch them play, love what he does with Munster, Pappenhausen, Brandon Smith. I feel like, obviously now at the Roosters, didn't enjoy him towards the back half of his time at Storm, but when he was there coming off the bench, and same with Tino coming off the bench back in the days for Storm. And then the Knights, obviously the second local team for me. The Canberra Raiders, got a soft spot for them, and Parramatta being my team. But let me know which team you would support if your NRL team wasn't there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a little bit different, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. I've recently put out a channel schedule, so there are a few videos to keep an eye for, and there's some that you just won't expect. So see you guys. Thank you.